The shocking truth about Candi and her family has recently come to light, and it is leaving fans completely stunned. Known for her remarkable career in music, television, and as a successful businesswoman, Candi has always been admired for her poise, professionalism, and ability to juggle multiple responsibilities. But behind the glamorous public image, there has been a deeply personal struggle, one that she openly revealed in a candid interview. For years, Candi and her husband Todd appeared to be the perfect couple, effortlessly managing the complexities of a blended family, presenting themselves as a harmonious unit that balanced work, life, and parenting with seemingly flawless precision. Yet, as Candi explained, reality was far more complicated than the images fans saw on television and social media. Behind closed doors, the family dynamic was fraught with tension, leaving Candi emotionally drained and struggling to maintain her own sense of balance and well-being. The source of this strain, she revealed, went beyond the typical challenges of household management, financial planning, and parenting responsibilities. It revolved around her relationship with her daughter Riley and the intricate web of family relationships that had slowly but steadily begun to fracture. Riley Burrows, Candi's daughter from a previous relationship, has never fully accepted Todd as a father figure. Despite Candi's tireless efforts to integrate her families and create an atmosphere of mutual respect and love, Riley struggled to see Todd as anything more than a stepfather. This tension created a significant emotional strain, not only on Riley and Todd, but also on Candi, who found herself caught in the middle of a conflict she could neither control nor easily resolve. The gap between her husband and her daughter widened over time, and no matter how much Candi tried to mediate, her attempts to bring harmony seemed increasingly futile. Every day she felt the weight of this unresolved tension pressing on her, eroding her patience and her emotional energy. All she wanted was for her daughter and her husband to coexist peacefully, to find some form of mutual respect, and to work together for the sake of the family. But instead, she found herself watching the divide grow larger, unable to stop it. Candi spoke openly about how this dynamic left her feeling powerless, stripped of control, and increasingly concerned about the impact on her mental health. The pressure of attempting to maintain family cohesion while balancing her own personal well-being began to take a visible toll. But the struggles didn't end there. In addition to the conflict between Todd and Riley, Candi revealed that the tension between Riley and Todd's daughter Kayla further complicated the family dynamic. The two girls, thrust into a blended family environment, never managed to establish the bond Candi had hoped for. Instead of becoming allies or friends, their differences seemed to grow with every passing interaction, adding another layer of complexity to an already fragile situation. Candi had envisioned a scenario where the children could eventually find common ground, develop mutual respect, and perhaps even a friendship over time, but reality failed to align with her hopes. The conflict between Riley and Kayla, coupled with the strained relationship between Riley and Todd, created an environment where Candi felt she was constantly mediating, constantly navigating emotional minefields, and constantly trying to prevent situations from spiraling out of control. The cumulative stress of these intertwined conflicts became overwhelming, leaving her feeling emotionally and physically drained. She admitted that for the first time, she began to feel as though her efforts were no longer sufficient to keep the family unit intact, and that the harmony she had worked so hard to cultivate was slipping through her fingers. It was in this critical moment that Todd realized he could no longer remain a silent observer. For months, he had watched Candi struggle under the pressure of managing the family's emotional turbulence. The strain on her mental and physical health was evident, and he recognized that intervention was necessary, not just for Candi's well-being, but for the health of the family as a whole. Todd made the decision to confront the situation directly, addressing Riley in a way that was both honest and heartfelt. He wasn't asking her to accept him as her father overnight, nor was he demanding obedience or compliance. Instead, Todd encouraged Riley to look beyond their personal differences and focus on the overall family dynamic. He asked her to consider the value of mutual support, not just for him or for herself, but for the sake of Candi, whose mental and emotional health had been strained to its limit. Todd expressed clearly and openly that his intentions were not to replace anyone or to diminish Riley's bond with her biological father. His goal was to foster an atmosphere where he could coexist peacefully within the family, contributing positively rather than serving as a source of additional conflict. More importantly, he asked Riley to help devise solutions rather than simply expecting reconciliation to happen on its own. This was a turning point, a moment where the fate of the blended family could shift for better or worse. Everyone involved was acutely aware of the stakes. The emotional and psychological weight of the situation was felt by every member of the family. Todd's plea to Riley was more than a request. It was a lifeline for the family, a chance to restore stability and harmony that had long been absent. For Riley, this was no small task. Accepting Todd in any meaningful capacity required her to confront years of resentment, misunderstanding, and emotional distance. But Todd's approach was measured, patient, and rooted in genuine care. He wanted her to see that reconciliation didn't have to come at the cost of her feelings, nor did it require her to erase the past. Instead, he offered a path forward, one that honored the complexity of the relationships while emphasizing the importance of empathy, understanding, and shared responsibility. The family was, in essence, at a crossroads. Each decision, each gesture, each response had the potential to either heal long-standing wounds or deepen existing rifts. Through all of this, Candi faced her own internal struggle. For years, she had acted as the glue holding the family together, mediating disputes, managing expectations, and absorbing the emotional burden of conflicts that were not entirely her own. But as the strain intensified, she realized that continuing to prioritize family unity above her own health was no longer sustainable. Her mental and physical well-being were being compromised, and she had to acknowledge the reality that she could not carry the entire emotional weight alone. Candi faced the difficult truth that sometimes self-preservation must come first, even for someone who has dedicated her life to caring for others. She had to consider whether stepping back, even temporarily, might be the only way to regain her equilibrium, to safeguard her health, and to ultimately create a healthier environment for everyone involved. This was a moment of clarity, a wake-up call that highlighted the delicate balance between love, loyalty, and self-preservation in the context of family life. Meanwhile, Todd was navigating his own complex emotions. While deeply invested in maintaining a positive role within Riley's life, he faced the challenge of breaking through the emotional barriers she had built over the years. His love for Candi and his commitment to the family's well-being were in direct tension with his desire to form a meaningful connection with Riley, and he was acutely aware that any misstep could exacerbate the situation. Todd's approach required patience, transparency, and consistency, emphasizing that his presence in the family was not meant to replace or overshadow anyone, but to complement and support the relationships already in place. The stakes were higher than ever, as each action had the potential to shape the trajectory of the family's future. For both Candi and Todd, the challenge was clear: navigate this emotional labyrinth carefully, or risk losing the fragile threads of unity that remained. The questions loomed large. Would Riley be willing to open her heart to Todd, to accept him as a positive presence in the family? Or would the emotional distance continue to grow, leaving Candi and Todd in an increasingly precarious situation? How would Candi continue to manage her own mental health while striving to maintain peace within the family? These were not hypothetical concerns. They were daily realities, tangible pressures that affected every conversation, every interaction, and every decision. The stakes were high, and the outcomes uncertain. Yet there was hope. Even the smallest steps toward reconciliation, the smallest gestures of empathy, had the potential to initiate profound change. Despite the challenges, there were glimmers of progress. Riley, though cautious and hesitant, began to demonstrate a willingness to try, to consider Todd's perspective, and to explore the possibility of cooperation for the sake of the family. Even minor acknowledgments of effort, small acts of compromise, were significant. For Candi and Todd, these moments were affirmations that change, however incremental, was possible. The family's journey toward unity was not linear, and setbacks were inevitable, but each step forward created a foundation upon which trust, understanding, and emotional resilience could be rebuilt. In this process, Candi's role was both central and transformative. By acknowledging her own limits, she allowed space for healing to occur, creating an environment where relationships could evolve naturally rather than being forced. The story of Candi Bruce, Todd Tucker, and their blended family is a powerful reminder of the complexities inherent in family life. It illustrates the delicate balance between love, loyalty, and self-preservation, and underscores the importance of empathy, communication, and patience. While the journey is far from over, moments of understanding, even small ones, offer hope for a future where the family can find peace, connection, and mutual support. The path forward is not guaranteed, and challenges will undoubtedly continue to arise, but the willingness to confront difficult emotions, engage in honest dialogue, and prioritize both personal and familial well-being represents a profound step in the right direction. In the end, this story is more than conflict. It's about perseverance, the power of human connection, and the enduring hope that families, even those fractured by misunderstanding and distance, can find their way back to harmony.